Christina Etter, and I'm the Canna Journalist, and welcome to my podcast. Now, here in this podcast, we're going to do things like talk about different hemp strains, different cannabis products. We're going to talk about recipes like we're going to do today, and then we also talk about things like consumer technology and just different things that are going on, things that I learned through my job as the editorial director at CannabisTech.com. But this is kind of a special podcast because I'm doing this on Valentine's Day, and here in the Etter household, Valentine's Day is kind of special. It was 8 years ago today that my husband actually proposed to me over a pepperoni pizza that was in the shape of a heart.
Happy Valentine's Day, honey.
Thank you, dear. So I have a special dessert that we're going to make today, and I actually, some friends of mine over at CBD Living have sent over a product for us to give a try, and I think this one's going to fit really well into this recipe that we're going to do today. So for Valentine's Day, one of the things that we usually do is go have a nice big meal. Well, then afterwards it might be a little bit hard to get romantic with all that garlic on our breath. So what I like to, with this recipe, what I love about it is that it's a peppermint based recipe, so it actually kind of works like an after dinner mint. It's definitely not a diet recipe, let me just tell you that right now. But I love this recipe because it's super simple. Now, I'm gonna make mine with actual real whipping cream today. You don't have to, you can use Cool Whip and then just blend your CBD oil or whatever you're using in with that Cool Whip. But for me, I'm gonna make my own today because I like to control the sugar. So you can see here, I've got just a half a cup of confectioner's sugar that I'm going to use in the whipped cream. Now, the key ingredient here, of course, is the Starlight mints, just the typical mints that we get as kids. Take them, crunch them up. See here, there's a few bigger chunks in here, and that's okay because those are going to soften up while they're in the whipped cream and while they're in the refrigerator. But the key ingredient here for making a CBD-based dessert is the CBD. And like I said, my friends over at CBD Living sent these over. I've spoke with Sean McDonald, who is the Chief Operating Officer over there, several times for different things throughout the 5 years that I've been a journalist. And Britt LaHue, their PR director, is absolutely phenomenal to work with. So I want to give them a shout out for sending this out to me. But this is a candy cane flavored, and I'll show this here, candy cane flavored CBD tincture. It's got about 25 milligrams per dropper full. And we're going to use 6 dropperfuls in this because I plan on cutting this pie into 6 different pieces. So I want 25 milligrams per dose. But of course, the other part of this pie here is the Oreo pie crust. Now, I did not make my own Oreo pie crust today. I opted out. I'm cheating. I went and bought a store-bought one. You can make your own if you want to, but I'm just going to use one from the store. So let's get started, and I'm going to get that whipped cream going, and I'm going to show you how to put those CBD drops in there. Okay, so the first ingredient in making a homemade whipped cream, of course, is the heavy whipping cream. So I've got 2 cups of whipped cream here that I'm going to pour in. All right, and now the CBD tinctures. This is that candy cane tincture that I was telling you about, so it's got a real nice peppermint flavor to it. And you'll see here it's kind of milky, so it's going to blend in really well with this whipped cream dessert. I'm going to put 6 dropperfuls of this in. Just like that. All right, now we're going to turn this on and let it become whipped cream. Okay, so now that we have our whipped cream all done, the next thing we're going to do is take most of this candy and just brush it into the whipped cream. And if you happen to take a little sneak peek of that whipped cream, you'll notice that it already has a little bit of that pepperminty taste in there from the CBD oil that we blended in. Now, one thing that the camera didn't show earlier is that I did add in that confectioner's sugar into the whipped cream just to give it a little lighter, a little sweet taste to it. But I don't like a heavy sweet taste. You don't want this to be overwhelming. So again, we're just gonna brush some of these candies in here. Now leave some because you're gonna want to decorate the top with a little bit of it. So just brush most of it in there. and then mix it all together. So just like that. You'll have a few chunks in there, like I said, but they're gonna soften up while this sits in the fridge. So the next thing you're gonna wanna do is then just put it into the chocolate pie crust. And smush it down in there just so it looks nice and pretty. So there you go, just like that. A few little peaks and valleys and stuff in there, so it's just pretty. However you want to do it, no big deal. We're not very fancy here at the Jenner household. So then I'm going to take some of these little candies, sprinkle them here across the top. Just give it a nice little dust in there. All right, now that you have this in the pie crust, you're gonna wanna wrap this in foil, and you can either put it in the or put it in the freezer for just a couple of hours. You just want that whipped cream to kind of solidify a little bit. Or if you have the time, go ahead and throw it in the refrigerator overnight, let it chill, let it solidify, and then you can slice it just like a piece of pie.